Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today I am going to be talking about my May TBR. And I have been waiting a long time to talk about this May TBR because this is the first month that I am not doing any buddy reads. And that doesn't mean that I won't end up reading books with people because there are already books that are on my TBR, books that I plan to read in May that I know some of my friends are going to be jumping in on, that I'm going to be reading with other people, which is the very definition of a buddy read. But what I mean is that I do not have prescribed dates where I have guaranteed that I'm going to start something that I feel pressured to meet. So while I certainly will be reading books that anybody is welcome to join in and read, I also reserve the right to say, I'm not really feeling like reading that anymore, so I think I'm just going to pass and exchange it with something else, which I don't want to do when things are set in stone as official buddy reads because I don't want to renege on an agreement that I made with somebody else. I don't want to, get somebody excited or make them feel like we're going to be reading something together and then pull back on that obligation. So I am taking a little break from buddy reads for the month of May, and I'm feeling really good about it because it's making me feel like I have the freedom to cycle things in and out of the TBR as I find necessary. The channel will still have official monthly buddy reads going on from June forward. So I recently tagged everybody who is in Discord and asked people to put forth suggestions for things that they would like to use as buddy reads. And then everybody voted on which ones they were most excited to read. I have not officially counted up those votes yet, so I'm going to be doing that within the next couple of days, and I will be able to put out a video soon letting people know what the buddy reads for the channel are going to be going forward. So all of that fun stuff is still on the horizon. I still really love reading books with other people, but I thought May would be a nice month to kind of relax and be able to shift things around on the TBR as I see fit. That being said, I do have big goals for May, and I'm going to talk about them as I outline my TBR. So my very first goal for May for me is going to be hopefully the month of finishing off fantasy series that have been hanging for too long on the channel. The first book that I am planning to read in May, barring any major swings of my reading mood, is going to be Mad Ship by Robin Hobb. So I read Ship of Magic, I think it was last year. I think I read it in 2021 and I loved it. It was one of my favorite books of the year. It was so good. I loved Farseer and I put off live ships for so long because it didn't center around Fitz. And then as soon as I read Ship of Magic, I was like, what were you thinking? This was amazing. You should have read this much earlier. And now I feel similarly about not having continued on with the series yet. So I am very excited to read Mad Ship. I still remember Ship of Magic very well because I liked it so much. I took my time reading it. I feel like I still have many of those details in my mind, and I am super excited to move along to book 2. I don't necessarily think that I'm going to close out this trilogy in May, but who knows? If I feel really excited, if there's a big cliffhanger at the end of the book, I don't have any obligations, so I can just continue on and read book 3 at that time if I want to. The next series that I'm going to finish off is going to be the Greenbone Saga. So I am planning to read Jade Legacy, the final book in the Greenbone Saga, in May. And this is a series, it's been an entire year since I read anything from Greenbone because I believe I read Jade War in 2020. I think it was near the end of 2020. I'm not entirely sure, but I don't think I read any Greenbone books last year. And that one's less surprising because I have been lukewarm on Greenbone overall. I like them. I certainly didn't dislike them enough to DNF the series or discontinue the series. I do want to finish it out, but I never felt particularly compelled to pick up the final book. That being said, everybody seems to love Jade Legacy. People talk about it being one of the best conclusions that they ever read, that it elevates the entire series looking back on it. People talk about it being one of their favorite fantasy books of all time, and that hype is hard to ignore. So I am hopeful that I will enjoy this book. I am hoping that, at least for me, it might make me look back more positively on the series as a whole. And I've heard that Fonda Lee does some really cool things with timeline and perspective that feel fresh and new. So I am really looking forward to it. I have that one on Kindle, so I'll probably be reading it alongside other things. I'll probably be reading multiple books at the same time. And I'm hoping that it will pull me in. In the past, I found it a little bit difficult to connect to the characters in Greenbone, and that's not to say that I don't think that they're well written. I think that the characters are very well rounded. I just found it really hard to get emotionally invested in their stories. I didn't really care that much about what happened to them, and that definitely diminished the tension throughout the series. And maybe after Jade Legacy, we'll find out that Greenbone truly is just not the series for me. Or maybe this book will completely win me over. Regardless, I am looking forward to it. There are a couple people in Discord who are huge Greenbone fans, so I am looking forward to discussing this with them, and I'm very hopeful that I will be able to get through it in May. The final series that has been unfinished and sitting on my TBR for quite some time is the original Mistborn trilogy. So the third book, Hero of Ages, I am hoping to read in May. And again, Mistborn is a series that I put off for a really long time. Brandon Sanderson's writing style is not what I typically enjoy in fantasy, but I did like the Mistborn novels. I certainly liked book 1 more than I liked book 2, but people say that this is an epic conclusion. They seem to really, really love this one, so I am hopeful that I will enjoy it, and I am looking forward to being able to finish out this series as well. I had originally planned this year, because the new Mistborn Era 2 book is coming out, to also read Mistborn Era 2, but I have started so many things. I'm so excited to read so many things that I don't know if I will be continuing on with Mistborn this year or not. I'm just going to have to wait and see where the reading mood takes me, I suppose. And the very last series that I want to finish up in May is the Seven Waters trilogy. So there are actually 6 books in the Seven Waters series, but again, I don't know if I'm going to go on and read that second group of 3 this year or not, because I do have a lot of books that I want to read. But I am looking forward to finishing up the Seven Waters trilogy. And the third book in that series is called Child of the Prophecy. So I will hopefully be reading that one in May. I'm not sure what time of the month I'm going to be reading that, but I am looking forward to reading it. Second of all, so that's kind of the group of fantasy series that I want to finish. There's a lot of chunky fantasy books in there, so I have the feeling that I'm going to be interspersing those fantasy reads with romance reads or more fast-paced novels. And there's a couple of new releases actually that I really, really want to get to that I am putting on the TBR for May. And the first one of those is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. So Emily Henry is a contemporary romance author who wrote the novels Beach Read and People We Meet on Vacation. I think I haven't read People We Meet on Vacation, but I really liked Beach Read. And this is her third published novel, and it is about, I don't think it's about authors. Maybe it is about authors. I'm not sure. It's about bookish people who fall in love. I'm super excited for it. I really like her writing style. This is a new release in May, and I am hopeful that it is going to provide a good contrast to the really big, chunky fantasy books that I am planning to read. Another new release I actually just picked up this past weekend when I was in town visiting my sisters, and it is called, and I'm not sure if I am pronouncing this correctly, Kaikei. This is a mythological retelling and a new release, and I think is getting a lot of really early buzz. I honestly haven't even read the back of the book. I just know that people whose opinions I really care about enjoy it. I love mythological retellings. This is about a story that I know nothing about. So I just bought it because I was like, this is something that I know I'm going to like. I wanted to support the author. The book is really pretty. So I just picked it up. I wish I could tell you more about who it's about or what it's about or what story it's even retelling, but I am not entirely certain. But I do want to read it in May. I know there were a lot of people on Discord who wanted to read this one as well, so hopefully some people will be able to join in on that read kind of last minute. It's just that I don't want to set up an official read with a date attached and feel that kind of pressure to jump in at a certain time. But I am very, very hopeful that I will be reading this in May. And I'm looking forward to it. I really hope that it lives up to the hype. And if it does, I have a feeling that it could become a new favorite read of the year, potentially. So we will see. Other than that, there is another romance novel that I will be starting, and this one I am starting at the beginning of the month, and I am reading it with some friends. I don't know if anybody remembers, a couple of months ago, I read a book called Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation, and this was a Chinese fantasy novel, romantic fantasy novel that was published in English. It had been a web novel in the beginning, and I read that published novel and then went on to read the entire web novel and watch the TV show and everything that has been associated with it, and fell into this rabbit hole of this story, essentially. So the author of Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation has two other stories, which are called Heaven's Official Blessing and Scum Villain Self-Saving System. And that one, Scum Villain Self-Saving System, is the next one that I'm going to be starting along with one of my friends who's also been sucked down into this rabbit hole with me. And the reason that we are starting this one is just because it is shorter than Heaven's Official Blessing, so it's going to take longer for all of the translated volumes of Heaven's Official Blessing to come out. But this particular series, this book series, has the first 2 volumes out, and I think we're waiting on the next 2 to be translated, so we figured we would get started with that one next. And we will see what happens. The only thing that I know about this story is it is about an angry young man who reads web novels and gets really mad about what happens and like puts in all these like angry comments online. And one day, one of the novels that he's reading gets finished and he gets so mad about the ending that I don't know if he chokes on food, but he dies in some way because of his rage. And as he is dying, he actually gets sucked inside this story as the main villain whose destiny it is to be captured and killed by the main character. So within the story, he has to try to change his fate by changing his interactions with the main character, but he can't act too out of character or else he gets kind of punished within the system. And so I think it relies a lot on kind of meta jokes. You have to know a little bit about this subgenre in order to pick up on all of the humor. So I'm very new to reading these kinds of books. I don't know how much of it I'm going to get or not get, but I really loved Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation. Hopefully I will enjoy this one as well, and it's going to be fun to read it along with my friends. So I'm looking forward to reading that one as well. Another romance book that I honestly don't know that much about, but have seen other people read it. I actually haven't watched any videos of people reacting to this book. I just know that a lot of people have read it. This is also romance, and it is called Ice Planet Barbarians. And I saw it at the bookstore, and I was like, I need to buy this. I know that a bunch of people have read it. I don't know if it's supposed to be good or ridiculous or so ridiculous it's good or what, but I decided that in May, this month of freedom, this month of big fantasy books where I'm going to need something to fall back on, it seems like the perfect time to read this. And my greatest wish, my fondest wish, is to be able to hoodwink other people, and specifically people who don't read a lot of romance, into reading this with me. Because I would love to record a reading vlog of this and to be able to put people's comments and people's opinions into this reading vlog as I'm going through. So we will see if this happens. I don't know who I can hoodwink into reading this with me, but I saw it and I thought, you know what? No time like the present. If there's going to be a day that I'm going to read about alien romance, then it is going to be a day in May. We will see how it goes. Other than that, there are 2 new releases that I am putting on the maybe list for May. The first one being Fevered Star by Rebecca Roanhorse. I am actually right in the middle of rereading Black Sun, so I may decide to jump into Fevered Star right away because I might be, it does end on a big cliffhanger, and I am really enjoying my reread. So potentially I might just jump into Fevered Star right away. But I am looking forward to reading that. It is the sequel, obviously, to Black Sun, which is a fantasy set in pre-Columbian Americas. It's kind of an amalgamation of a bunch of different cultures. A lot of really cool things that I don't read about frequently in fantasy, and just a fast-paced, really enjoyable fantasy novel. So I'm hoping that I will really enjoy the sequel as well. And obviously I want to read Hunger of the Gods by John Gwynne. I have heard that there's an excellent summary of book 1 at the beginning of this novel, so I'm really hopeful. I tried to buy this when I was in St. John's, and this is the reason why I'm not sure when I'm going to be starting it, because I actually want to buy a copy. I don't want to buy this one on Kindle because I know I'm going to want a physical copy. So I went to St. John's fully intending to buy one, and I was unable to find one. So I'm going to order one online. Shipping to Newfoundland, sometimes the books get here in like 4 days. Sometimes they get here in 4 weeks. So I have no idea when that is going to arrive, but when it is in my possession, it will be high priority for me. It's just a matter of waiting for it to get here. But that is my ambitious May TBR. I'm really excited for all of these books. Watch, this will be the 1 month where I'm like, I have so much freedom to move things around the TBR, and I will not move a single book. I'll read every single book on this TBR, and then I'll be a joke to myself. But you know what? It's okay. I'm looking forward to reading these books. Hopefully I can close out some of these series. I will enjoy some of these romance reads. I will convince people to read them along with me, and it will be a really fun month. But I would love to know what everybody else is planning to read in May. Do you have any detailed TBR plans, or are you just going to kind of ride the mood reading wave? I would love to know, and I will see you all with another video soon. Bye!